So I called the tenant that she said was moving. It's like, hey, Miss Such and Such, are you moving? And she was like, no. Like, what made you ask me that? And I was like, well, I can't disclose it, but someone said that you may be moving. And she was like, is it that lady next door? And I was like, well, I can't tell you, but and she was like, it has to be her. She's the only person that would have your phone number. Welcome back to another installment of This Week in Real Estate, where I recap my week as a self-managing landlord of 20 plus units and a fix and flip investor. This week started off with some bad news. The trouble flip that I've been trying to sell for a very long time fell out of escrow. How it was explained to me is this buyer had to kind of massage some things for them to qualify, and last weekend the daughter of the buyers passed away, and I believe they needed that daughter's income to help them qualify. So with her transitioning and no longer having income, they no longer qualify for the property. So we were forced to terminate that contract. So it's probably the worst news that I could have gotten to start the week. We had 1 or 2 showings there this week, but I don't know. It's the worst way to start the week. So we'll see what happens there. It's funny because we had, I call it neighbor snitching. So one of my tenants calls me like, hey, it's a duplex. So she lives in a duplex. She's like, hey, the lady next door is moving. Can I move into her unit? And I was like, she's moving? Because that tenant that she was calling about is very communicative. So to like have her moving and like her not telling me caught me off guard. And I said to the tenant that called me like, let me figure out what's going on and like, I'll get back to you. So I called the tenant that she said was moving. It's like, hey, Miss Such and Such, are you moving? And she was like, no. Like, what made you ask me that? And I was like, well, I can't disclose it, but someone said that you may be moving. And she was like, is it that lady next door? And I was like, well, I can't tell you, but she was like, it has to be her. She's the only person that would have your phone number. And I just said, I can't disclose. But she went on to explain to me that her husband had passed away like a year ago, and she told me when that happened. But she's like, I'm just like finally getting around to packing up some of his stuff and like getting rid of it. So she saw me with boxes and stuff, but it's just because I'm packing up my husband's stuff and like starting to clear out like his stuff. She's like, she better leave me alone before I tell what she really having going on over there. And I was like, well, do tell, like what's going on? So she told me some things that like I really can't control as far as like a lease and a landlord. And then some things that I need to reach out to the tenant about. So I thought it was funny that this tenant called to kind of snitch, if you will, on one tenant about moving out, and then that tenant told on her. So it was a very interesting and live conversation. But lady is not moving out. Again, she's just clearing out some of her husband's belongings from when he passed. But now there may be like a beef. So I gotta keep an eye on that, make sure that there's no like tension. I never confirmed who said it, but the tenant is smart enough to know there's only so many people that have my phone number that could see that what she was doing. So that was that. But what else? Oh, we accepted an offer on flip number 1. So flip number 1 hit the market in day like 4. We got a full price offer, and actually it's an offer over full price, but they baked in a credit that they want. So basically it will net out to like full list price. So very excited about that. We went through the week. They acted really fast, went through the week and did their inspections. We got back a PICRA. The PICRA was very easy. I think there's like 5 things, very minor things. So no negotiation around the PICRA items, just kind of accepted that. So next we have an appraisal. Once that comes in, we'll be able to close. So I think they had like a 5-week escrow, 4 or 5 week escrow, but they're trying to close early. I'm always open to closing early. I have no problem with that. So we're gonna march towards trying to get that closed early and go on our way with that one. So flip number 1 is doing really good. Flip number 2, probably as bad as it could be. So I woke up this one morning this week from a text from my contractor, and it was just a picture of a stop work order on the door. He was like, don't worry, I know this inspector, I'm gonna call him. And so he ends up having a conversation with the inspector, and we didn't really get flagged for anything. It was just like, we're doing work and they didn't know we're doing work. But we went on to describe to them, like, we're painting, we're putting floors in, like, we're not really doing anything where we needed to pull permits. So like, I don't know. So he hadn't gone in when he put the stop work notice. So my contractor met him and walked him through the project. And there is an area where we are framing around a chase. So it's like a chase and I think like another area. We're framing that in, and it's still in the 2x4 framing stage. So he flagged us for that. So we have to pull a permit for literally like framing in a chase. And a chase, if anyone doesn't know, is just like a big pipe or cylinder, or it's not pipe, but for lack of a better term, pipe that runs like upstairs and where air flows for like the AC. So we are stopped until we get drawings and get that approved for our permit, and then we can start work back on flip number 2. So we'll probably lose about a week in total with this. And I was talking to my contractor like, yo, we weren't even doing anything. Like, how do we get, like, what made him come out? And the inspector shared, he was like, I would have never came out, but someone called. And I thought it was very interesting that someone called. I was like, who, like, we weren't doing anything. Like, the guys don't work crazy hours, so they're not up hella early or they're hella late. The job site is clean. So I was like, who would have called on us? Like the neighbors, like this was a bando, so like we're making the neighborhood better. He was like, it's probably somebody that wanted the house and you ended up getting it. So it's very interesting because like I don't ever think that I have haters or anything like that. But there may be a hater out there, literally to call the folks on me. And caused me to lose a week in my renovation time. So maybe I have like one hater out there. That's even funny to say, cause yeah. But we'll see. We're trying to work through that and we'll rectify it and we'll get on our way. So what else? And so y'all remember the lady that had like the filthy unit? If you don't, go watch a few videos back. There's basically a lady had a really filthy unit. She is on Section 8. So I got an email from her caseworker. I was copied on the email. It was actually to the tenant saying like, hey, your voucher is going to be terminated 10/1. And the caseworker calls me like, hey, have you talked to Ms. such and such? And I was like, I've talked to her about the cleanliness of her unit, but nothing related to her voucher. And she was like, yeah, she hasn't recertified. So basically with Section 8, every year you have to go back in and say like, hey, I still qualify for Section 8 and I still qualify for this level of support from Section 8. And she was supposed to do that in June and she still hadn't done it. So to get her attention, they're like, we just gonna cut off your assistance. So after I got off the phone with her caseworker, I called her like, hey, have you heard about this? She's like, oh, I just talked to her on the phone. I'm gonna handle it. So hopefully she does what she's supposed to do, which is literally just like a piece of paper, like filling out a piece of paper. It's crazy to me that people don't do like really small things to get assistance. And she's not like assisted a little bit. Section 8 pays all of her rent. So it's like, why wouldn't you fill out this form to continue to live for free? But this read made me like really think about it. When I was talking about like the cleanliness of her unit, a lot of people pointed out that it may be a sign of like her having mental health struggles. And then when I heard this, I thought like, she really might be going through something like with her mental health, just because nothing else makes sense for her not to fill out a piece of paper to continue to get that level of assistance. But hopefully she stays on top of it and we don't have any problems there with any payments being discontinued. Last but not least, we put in an offer on our next property. So since flip number 1 is under contract, we want to kind of stack it. So once that one closes on the sale side, we'll be able to roll those funds over to a new project. So we went under contract this week, walked over to our contractor, just gonna finalize our numbers, and then we'll be closing that right around the time flip number 1 closes. We'll be buying the next flip. So that's exciting. And then we finally closed out our investor slot, our private investor slot for our last property. So we are fully underway there. I've been thinking about it. I bought it because the numbers look really good to keep as a rental, but I may just sell it because its numbers are like so good. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I think I have a sour taste in my mouth. Oh, I didn't talk about this. I have a sour taste in my mouth because the refi that I've been working on, the challenge to the appraisal that I did came back hella low still. So my initial reaction was like, I'm just gonna sell it. But I may wait because I have some more time in there to try to refinance it again in 3 months and see if the comps improve and I can get more for it. I don't know, but now that I think about it, my thought to sell it was kind of just out of frustration. But that makes sense. So right now I'm gonna stick with that plan to just sell it because it didn't appraise where I needed it to complete the refi where I need it. So that's the good thing about buying right. So I bought this property for $115, and the way I needed to appraise, I needed to appraise at like 180, 190. It appraised at 170. So even if I just list this property just to sell it quick at like 150, I still make some money because my purchase price was 115. So not a lot of money, no, but I'm able to get out of that deal. The refinance didn't work for a burr. Okay, cool. Plan B, just sell it, get out, and no harm, no foul. So that's the really good thing about buying right. You may hear people say you don't make money in real estate when you sell, you make money when you buy. And this is a great example of that. I bought right. So my first exit strategy as a refinance didn't work. So now I can go to plan B and sell it. Or I can go to plan, say C, and wait and see if the appraisal hits right later, and then refi, because I still have time on my original loan. So that is the thing there about buying right. But that was my week. I don't think I've ever pointed this out, but if you guys see like the real estate themed t-shirts that I wear, I think I've worn this one, I've worn the Beating the Red Line, I've worn Ownership, Equity, Wealth. You see me in a hat that says like retirement, real estate is my retirement plan. Those are all through a company that I started, The Real Estate Apparel Co. That is the Instagram. You can buy any of the t-shirts and hats that you see me wear. You could buy those online there. But as always, if you have any questions or comments about anything, leave a comment or shoot me a DM. Always happy to help. And if you like this series, you get some value out of it, share it with someone, and also follow if you aren't following. But that was This Week in Real Estate.